Well, hi everybody, welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. Just a modest proposal this time to celebrate our 238th birthday this week. I've decided, after all we've seen in the last 5.5 years, that it's time for America to go full progressive. Even though most people say it's a bad career move to go full progressive, you should never go full progressive. But I think it's time to do it anyway. The 4th of July is Independence Day, of course, a time of rich white slaveholders and their primitive values. We named the national capital after the father of our country, George Washington, not just to honor the man for his service to our country, but also to remind us of the values he represented as a form of keeping us honest and in debt to his memory. Naming the capital Washington was supposed to help us remember the kind of man Washington was, and presumably to invoke his memory in times of tough decisions on the part of the people we sent to that swampy piece of land that we built a gleaming white vision of Greco-Roman splendor upon. But those days of the dead white male patriarchy are gone now, thank God, and the values that our first president represented are way past their sell date, way past. So I would like to propose that we rename the capital from honoring the first president to honoring the last president. Now, I could spend 2 or 3 hours making this case, so I'm going to have to rush through it a little bit. George Washington had terrible teeth. His dentures weren't actually made of wood, but they were primitive, ugly, and very painful. That's why he never smiles in his portraits. They're horrible teeth, and he's in constant pain. Not only couldn't you get elected with teeth like that today, you couldn't even get a line on How I Met Your Mother. Obama, on the other hand, has a terrific smile, some of the best teeth on the planet, which, compared to, character, is much more important today. Washington dressed formally and stiffly. Not only is it as hot and muggy in the summers back east, back in the Revolutionary days as it is today, it was hot and muggy all the time, indoors and out, since they didn't have air conditioning. Nevertheless, Washington was never seen without tight-fitting stockings, uncomfortable and stiff trousers, long-sleeve shirt with tight collar, a waistcoat, and a jacket. He dressed like that every day, all the time, in that unbearable heat and humidity. He was the best-dressed man in the country, and he did it for a reason. Washington dressed that way to bring dignity to the office of the president. He did it as a sign of respect for the American people. Barack Obama dresses for comfort. During his tenure as General-in-Chief of the Revolutionary Army, Washington refused to take vacations home to visit his wife, since the common American citizens he led couldn't go home either. Both Barack Obama and his wife make up for this archaic dead white male arrogance by taking as many vacations as possible, paid for by the common American citizen. George Washington defended his nation against armed invasion from the North. Barack Obama encourages and provides benefits and even legal services to those invading our nation from the South. During countless hours every day, working well into the night, writing orders and reading letters by dim candlelight, George Washington lost his eyesight in the service of his country. Barack Obama, working long hours every day well until... Sorry. Washington had 316 slaves whom he emancipated upon his death, setting people held in bondage free to create their own lives and destinies through hard work. Barack Obama is working hard to create a nation of 316 million slaves, dependent on government for everything, including food, housing, and health care. George Washington was offered the position of king and had dictatorial powers laid at his feet. His love of freedom and faith in the common man caused him to turn this down, and his natural modesty would not allow even people to refer to him as Your Excellency, but rather as a simple, humble Mr. President. Barack Obama wrote his name in cement when he was a kid. He wrote King Obama. Barack Obama invented a title for himself, Office of the President-elect, and has openly vowed to rule by decree and circumvent the Congress and the will of the people. And finally, George Washington led not only from the front, but during his signature military operation at the front of the front, exposing himself time and time again to the same bullets that cut down his soldiers, to whom he always gave the credit and accepted none for himself. Barack Obama had to be called in from the golf course to watch the signature military operation of his presidency on television from the back of the room where he wouldn't get in the way, and went on to take personal credit time and time again, endangering and in fact costing the lives of some of his soldiers by his grandstanding on their success. So in conclusion, I think on this birthday, it's time, as I said, to face facts and go full progressive, because the character traits that we once admired in the first president, honesty, bravery, hard work, modesty, and an inherent distrust of power are long gone. And we need a new representative of the ones that we admire now: mendacity, cowardice, laziness, narcissism, and greed for power. And who else better represents these qualities than the last President of the United States, the man who's used executive order, NSA spying, IRS intimidation, voter fraud, race baiting, suppression and imprisonment of political enemies, contempt for the will of the people, and above all, an endless parade of lawlessness and ego in service of his own political and personal gains. Any man who would do that is not the President of the United States anymore. I'm tired of using the name Washington as an expletive. It's not fair to the man of character and courage who walked away from power. Let's just get it over with. We once named our capital after the man whose traits we admired, so let's just rename Washington, D.C. and call it Obamadelphia, the city of Obamaly love. And I can tell you who would sign that bill into law in a heartbeat.